Everybody's talking about gold. Everybody's talking about silver. 5,000, that's the number of the day on Wall Street. That's the new price target by JP Morgan and by Goldman Sachs. For gold, that is, not silver. That would be awesome. But when everybody's talking about gold and silver, that's when we're gonna look at a different market that nobody's talking about right now. That's kind of forgotten. Uranium. Let's get into it. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day, your show for swing trading ideas for the coming days, weeks, and month. So, before we start with the uranium market and what's going on there, 3 quick housekeeping items. First one, we're going to start a new video series starting tomorrow. It's going to come out on Saturdays. It's going to focus on updates and news of the companies that I present here, because I do not believe in just throwing out stock names and then not following up on them. If you like this concept, leave a like, leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know if the views are there. We gladly like to do that. Second housekeeping item, talking about yesterday's video, where I told you that I am short-term, bearish is too strong a word, but I'm not as euphoric as everybody else is on gold and silver. I expect more of a consolidation phase first before we move up. So, some viewers have difficulty interpreting that the right way. Completely understandable. So let me get into this. I'm long-term bullish. I'm not going to sell any of my investments in gold, silver, or the mining stocks. However, if you are a trader or hold additional trading positions to your investment positions, then you might want to take some profits. Remember, this is a very popular strategy by Wall Street that retail investors really have a hard time wrapping their head around, and that is, Wall Street plays the market very different than retail investors. Because retail investors have limited resources, they usually play the market binary, meaning they're all in or they're all out. This is how Wall Street plays a mega trend and a big bull market like we see in gold, silver, and the commodities. They build their core positions, they hold these core positions all throughout the bull market, and then they trade around these core positions. So they're never fully out, even if they sell some of their trading positions. And then if the market goes down, they add to their investment positions. And yesterday's video is kind of a video for that strategy or for a pure trading strategy. Now, while that's done, third thing, real quick, hit the subscribe button, leave a like for us. It really helps us out. Thank you very much. And off we are to the uranium market. Now, this is the URA. You know this chart, you know what it is. URA is the ETF for the uranium miners. And as you can see, we have not done anything since July. Now, if you remember my last video on uranium, I was quite bearish and I expected the prices to go down. That hasn't happened yet. So I've not been right, but I also haven't been wrong, because as you can see, what we have been really doing is we've gone sideways between the yellow zone on the top and the orange zone on the bottom, right? We have now the risk of a triple top in the URA, which would be quite bearish, but that hasn't triggered yet. But as you can see, it's clearly forming. The uptrend that has been in place since April is gone. Now, in the last video to uranium, I told you about the cross of the 50 and the 20, and that is usually a very reliable signal that something could be coming. And as you can see, the signal is not wrong because the signal hasn't triggered. You see the purple line, that's the 50. You see the brown line, that's the 20. As you can see, we came awfully close at the end of August of the 20 cutting through the 50 from top to bottom, but that didn't happen. However, as you can see, we're not out of the woods yet. We need a couple of weekdays in the UIA, and then we're right back at the scenario where the 20 cuts through the 50, and that has been a bearish signal for the uranium market for the URA specifically. Now, let's take a look at the uranium price. As you know, when we talk about the uranium price, the way I like to look at it is the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. Why? Because that is uranium price plus the market segment. All right, what is the market? How's the market feeling about uranium? And we see we had a big run up, right? Here we had 20 through 50 already. Let me take this off here because this makes it a little clearer. But here's what we also see. We are hitting a big time resistance zone and we are right at the highs of the year, right? This is how the year started, here and here, and we always went down afterwards. So the RSI is in the right at the edge of being overbought, but as you can see in the past, this has been good enough to trigger correction moves, right? If we go back here, we see we were much higher here, obviously. That was 2024, that was the last big uranium bull run. But this is usually an area that is considered high, and as you can see, it always led to sell-offs after it. So this is a warning sign. Do I need to run out and buy uranium right now? Absolutely not. Would I sell all my uranium? Absolutely not. I want to buy more. But do I need to go out today and buy more uranium? No, we don't. This would be my first target, this gap fill right here. And this is about like a 5% correction. For the spot price, that's not nothing. It's not a crash, but I don't expect a crash. The fundamentals are continuing to be excellent. These are the big news that we have in the past weeks for uranium. First one, for the month of August, spot price was up. Excellent. Remember, July, first time the spot price for uranium was down after 3 up months. Quite disappointing. Now we're back up again. We're around $75 a pound. You know that's still below the magical number of 80. 80 is the first trigger that triggers the market. 100 is the one where people get really excited and euphoric about uranium. Second big point, World Nuclear Association said they warned of a bigger global shortfall of uranium, that the deficit of uranium could double between 2030 and 2040. Almost. It's not, but it's easier to keep it in mind. And then the last point that we had, so that's the demand side. Now we go to the supply side. We got really good news from Cameco, who cut their production outlook for the MacArthur mine by 19%. That is significant, right? And this is to understand that MacArthur is the largest high-grade uranium mine in the world. Cameco holds about 69% of it. So this production cut was not out of nowhere, which is the reason why the Cameco stock didn't tank or anything like that, because it basically has to do with their transitioning the mine to a new mining area. But it also shows us how problematic the supply and demand side is in uranium, and it's going to stay that way. So what are we talking about here, Wilhelmi? We're talking about a correction that's still on the table for the uranium stocks. We just about finishing up, today's the last day of the big conference in London that I could make, which is, as you know, the most important nuclear energy conference of the year. So that in the past has been sometimes a major catalyst, especially ahead of it, for the uranium stocks. But as you can see here, yes, it led to this short rally in the second half of August, anticipating the conference. But really, all these good news that I just told you about, right? Cameco production cut on the supply side, World Nuclear Association saying that the demand deficit is going to be higher. conference coming, and really the UIA hasn't done anything in 2 months. We're seeing a consolidation over time the same way we saw it with gold. Right? So we don't need to rush out and buy uranium now. I still expect we can see a correction. What would be my correction target? It would be the horizontal brown gap fill, which also coincides with a retest of the former resistance zone, the yellow zone that you see right here. So I wouldn't short uranium. You can do whatever you want with your money. Right? But I wouldn't short uranium here. I want to buy more uranium stocks, but I don't need to buy them right now. The market is cooling off. Now everybody's talking about gold and silver. All the fast money of the retail investors is flowing in there. That's good, because that means that we can get the quality uranium stocks cheaper. And that's what we want to do. That's it for today. Have a great weekend. And I see you tomorrow for the first new show where we're going to talk about Equinox Gold. And if you like these kind of videos, if you like the information you get here, because we talk about things that not everybody's talking about. Now everybody's talking about gold. We don't need to talk about it. Then hit the subscribe button. Helps us out, takes a second, helps you out, and hopefully it'll make you some money. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.